All right, Gator Country, what a game. Let me just say this. Boom, boom, boom. Go Gators. I was ate up last night. I mean, jumping over couches, running in circles. I mean, that has to be one of the historical all time Gator great games I've ever seen in my 34 years of watching Gator football. And there's been some good ones, guys. That game was of epic proportions. I mean, I've never felt my heart pounding in my chest. I mean, nail biter to the end. I mean, in all honesty, we probably should have lost that game because of how we played on defense in the second half. I just knew when Anthony Richardson scored that touchdown with a minute 25, I didn't feel confident at all. I mean, I knew we were going to lose the game. They drove right down the field and literally were within 5 yards of scoring a touchdown and taking that game from us. I mean, 17 seconds left, maybe. I doubt we were going to get down the field in 17 seconds to score. I mean, don't put it past Anthony. It's still possible. But, guys, I mean, that was a historical win. I mean, that was massive for momentum. We've got recruits left and right talking about the Gators. Cedric Baxter, Money, Kermani McLean. I mean, we're about to land some 5 stars. So go ahead and get ready. I mean, it's still recruiting season and playing season. I know Dan Mullen didn't know that, but you can do both at the same time. So all the big recruits were there. They were ate up. The atmosphere was electric. There's a couple FSU kids that are probably going to come to the Gators that we're about to flip. You got Roderick Kearney, the offensive lineman. I mean, the atmosphere was electric. It was so amazing. Let's get into the game a little bit. You know, obviously I got some notes here. We're going to recap everything, get an instant reaction. Sorry I'm a little late with it, man, but it's been a busy weekend watching all the games, and I want to get y'all a good recap and have some good notes. So 29-26 Gators. Score prediction for me was 31-27, so almost spot on with that. I really thought the Gators could put up 30 points on this Utah defense, and I thought they were going to put up some points, 27 points on our defense, and they did. You guys got to remember, these are the same guys that Florida's defense last year was the worst defense in Florida Gator history. This is the worst defense we've ever had. So with saying that, these are all the same players. There's only a few guys. You've got Bernie, Miller, who are a part of that defense that was that bad. And I know we've got a poster on here that thinks that, because of one interception and a linebacker having so many tackles, which he was off on the number. Brenchell Miller did not have however many tackles he said. He had like 6 and 2 assists, something like that. But anyway, besides the fact, the linebacker play was atrocious. Miller was terrible. He was a good tackler during the game. I'll give him that. He's a thumper. He fills the hole. We need him. We cannot lose him because he is good in the run game, okay? But the play and coverage is so bad. I mean, it's beyond bad. Bernie was terrible the whole game. He got picked on. The tight ends ate us up. I knew that was going to happen. I called it. It happened last year at times. I'm surprised teams didn't go to it more because our linebackers cannot cover a tight end. It's just not in their DNA. I think they see a tight end and they run the other way. I don't know what's going on. But other than that, Bernie, give him all the props in the world. They made some nice plays in the first half. Looked like two different defenses. That shows our depth. We talked about that. Defensive line is majorly thin and scary. We're an injury away there from basically being run through like a sheet of paper. So the defense scares me. It's gonna be a weak spot this year, guys. I think we can get better. It's the biggest jump from game 1 to game 2. So look for the defense to improve in some areas. Hopefully in pass coverage at the linebacker spot. I still would like to see just Shamar James, DeJuan Black, some more athletic linebackers get on the field. I'm surprised we didn't see any of those people. That shocked me a little bit. But defense did really good in the first half. We shut that run game down. We were stout up front. The depth started to wear down, so teams are going to lean on us, guys. You're going to see them run the ball down our throats until that defensive line starts to break. And I think we're going to struggle on defense in the second half of games this year, and it's just inevitable. It'll probably improve defensively for a few games, but as depth starts to be a concern, if we get an injury here and there, guys are going to miss some time. We're going to have to put up points. Anthony Richardson is going to carry this team. It's going to go as far as he takes us. We can go tit for tat and score for score on a team, and go back and forth. I do believe that because of Anthony, we can do that. I don't think we have the type of offense that's built for that. We are a time possession, run the ball, control the clock offense. Last night when we ran tempo, Utah didn't have a chance. I really want to see more tempo from Billy Napier. He did not run it enough last night. He needs to run tempo more. When we did it, we were super successful. But I think a lot of that's because the Gators, I mean, we did everything we could have done to give that game away, and we still won. That just tells you the SEC is head and shoulders better than the Pac-12. Florida is a talented team. They are a good team. I did not think that we were going to be terrible this year. Like I said, the floor to me was 7-5 with a ceiling of 9-3. 9-3 is absolutely attainable at this point. The only team that's a buzzsaw is Georgia on this schedule. We are not beating Georgia. I don't care what y'all say. Georgia's loaded with 5 stars. We're not there yet. We're rebuilding. If we can be competitive with them, I'll be happy about it this year. But the teams I want to beat, that we need to beat, LSU, FSU, the team, South Carolina, nobody in the East looked impressive to me. Kentucky, South Carolina. I mean, the Gators should end up 9-3 in my opinion. After watching this game, beating a team with the experience that they have, with a talented quarterback like that. I mean, he put up gaudy numbers last night. Not gaudy, but he put up good numbers last night. 216 yards, 90-something on the ground, a touchdown, 1 interception. That kid was good. He's a 4-star out of high school. So our defense did some nice things. I love the cornerback and safety play. Those guys played hella good in pass coverage. Safeties left a little bit to be desired. I will say that on some plays. Torrance is still a liability. Again, think of the names I'm talking about. These are Dan Mullen guys that would get beat over the top last year on defense. Bernie, Miller, Jason Marshall's a stud. He locked it down. They wouldn't even hardly throw to his side of the field. We did rotate a lot of guys, so I do think some of it was just trying to get guys experience, just to put stuff on tape, put stuff on film. This is an evaluation game. I think that the rotation will start to tighten up some. Maybe not on the line because of depth on defense. But the cornerbacks played tremendous. They're a little thin, so they're a little hard to get in run support and stuff like that. So we don't have a lot of size at the position, but we're super fast, super lean. But the defense as a whole, Des Wattsman played more snaps than anybody. I mean, he's out of shape. He's 439 pounds. But that dude is hard to move. In the first half, dude, he was pushing guys, just leaning on him 3 or 4 yards off the ball. If he could just lose some weight, the dude would be a monster. Like first round, Vince Wilfork type player. I mean, he's a stud. Jervon Dexter was MIA last night. I mean, I didn't see nothing from him. The ends didn't do well. We had no pass rush. We could not get in the backfield. No sacks, nothing. No pressure from the defensive line. So the defense, I'm just trying to point out some of the stuff that's concerning moving forward. But let's talk about that. That interception at the end of the game was epic. I mean, that stadium sold out. It was a record attendance. Over 90,000 people were in the Swamp. I think attendance is going to be sold out again next week. Football is back, baby. I mean, the Swamp is rocking. The atmosphere is electric. I've got to get down to a game. I feel like we all need to try to get to at least one this year because for some reason, football has just come back. Like going to games is a thing again where it didn't used to be for so long, even before COVID. But yeah, so defensively, those are my key takeaways. DB play I like, linebacker still a vulnerability, and defensive line depth is an issue. The line looked pretty pedestrian at times. Now, I will say we just beat the 7th-ranked team in the country. I do think this defense is going to look a whole lot better against Kentucky and some of the mid-tier to lower-tier SEC teams. So look for them to eat, and get in the backfield, improve, and do some stuff that I said they kind of sucked in or were averaging in this game. I do think you'll see a much better improved defensive performance against Kentucky. Kentucky won their game, but they beat Miami, Ohio, and they struggled some in that game. 300 yards through the air, but that's because they had to. They couldn't run the ball for crap against that team, who was like 7-6 in their conference last year, which is a lower conference. So again, Kentucky does not scare me at all. I think we're going to buzz off Kentucky, if you want me to be honest with you. I could see us actually blowing Kentucky out at this point. 7th-ranked team in the country goes down in the Swamp. Kentucky's got to come to the Swamp in a night game. We're on a run right now. I'm telling you, we're about to be on a tear, and we're going to go into that Tennessee game undefeated. That was going to be a whole different story on the road, but for right now, let's just enjoy this win. We're going to be ranked in the top 25. I think we should be ranked somewhere between 12 and 15 going into the game next weekend, in my opinion. That is still a really good team that we just beat. I want to say that because with the defensive line, what I'm talking about, the caveat here is that offensive line, that was some big old boys out there on that offensive line. Their defense did not impress me. Utah's defense, again, we talked about them, small. Didn't think they were that impressive. We had our way with them. We shredded them all night, ran the ball at will. Those guys were cramping up. They didn't want none of the swamp, baby. I mean, that humidity was eating them up. Guys were throwing up on the sideline. We talked about that. That was an advantage Florida. The crowd was advantage Florida. They tried to act like after the game the crowd had nothing to do with it. That's garbage. I don't want to hear nothing about that. You guys were choking, okay? How about the fact that they got 4 timeouts, guys? They had 3 timeouts. They were all gone. The referees in this game were complete garbage. We beat them in spite of the referees trying their hardest to give Utah the damn game. It was unbelievable. They gave them 4 timeouts, and there's 90,000 people there, all this army of staff, in the media. How is no one saying anything? There has to be a way. Those refs need to be reprimanded for that game. I'm not even kidding. They need to be fired. Whatever they do, fined. That was an epic failure in refereeing. There was holding after holding after holding against Florida that they would not call. But when Florida held, by God, they were going to call in a heartbeat. They were wanting to pull that flag out before there was even a hold. I mean, they literally had flags on the mile when Florida was on the field doing anything. I mean, we got so many penalties, which I'll give Florida. New regime, new staff, new scheme. You're going to have that. That's going to improve. That was a lot of mistakes. That was concerning, but I do think we can get better at that. We were terrible with penalties last year. So it's no surprise, guys. No discipline on this team. He's building that right now. But yeah, I mean, they had 4 timeouts they gave them in a half. I was in complete shock and awe. Even the guys on the TV were talking about how, did they just get a 4th timeout? Well, I guess so. And it was just like, whatever. And then how about the guy picking the ball up off the ground and then catching it with his feet? That was not a catch. I mean, that was everybody, the media, the fans, everybody. And they gave them a free play. They basically refed them down the field to a touchdown that we stopped them on. So Florida, to me, really wins this game by 10 points without the referees trying to give them a score there in the third quarter. That boy knows he didn't catch that ball. I hope you're watching right now because you did not catch that football. That drive was dead at that point, and y'all had never scored on that play. You didn't catch it, bud. It was obvious in front of 90,000 people. I don't know how the refs sitting 20 yards away couldn't figure that out. So, yeah, the referees were atrocious. Next year we go to Utah. That's going to be tough, but it's nothing like playing the swamp, so I think we can go there and win. No humidity. We're going to be, like, straight up in perfect shape coming into those conditions. It might be a little chilly or something, maybe. I don't know. But we get an SEC crew, so hopefully the karma comes back to get them next year, and that gives us advantage in that game. Again, I don't think them coming here and us going there is nowhere near as hard for us as it was for them coming to Florida. So let's talk about the offense. Really weird depth chart that Lingard wasn't even listed at running back. I heard he's injured or something. He's injured all the time. I don't know what's going on with that. It seems like he gets hurt a lot. I really want to see the kid play. I just want to see him get the ball handed to him at least a couple times, let him prove it. Put up or shut up time. I'd like to just see him get an opportunity. But because Naquan Wright is what he is. He is what I said he was. He was terrible last night. He wasn't good. He wasn't great last year. He hasn't been good at Florida since he's been here. I mean, he's a solid depth piece at running back. He can catch out of the backfield. He can pass block. But he didn't gain more than a yard on any handoff. Maybe 3 was his max run the entire game. That rotation needs to be the ETN, Montrell Johnson show. Montrell Johnson can move, man. He's got some moves. He's big. He's a bruiser. They can't bring him down. Did you see that spin move he made off a tackle on that one play for another 10, 15 yards? That guy's incredible. Only back with a touchdown in the game. I love me some Montrell Johnson. But my favorite running back is Trevor Etienne. That is in his blood, in his genes. The boy can ball out. He is so good. I mean, he's shifty. It's like he gets loose on every play. He bounces one out, and it's like he's just so elusive that 10, 15 yards feels like it's almost a guarantee when he touches the ball. He looked like the best back on the field to me. They're 2 different backs. Him and Montrell are so different. Etienne's a shifty guy, elusive, beautiful, beautiful vision. Sees the field well. Montrell Johnson, to me, is, again, he's got some moves, but he's a downhill, one cut, one move, and gone. I mean, he's got a little speed to him. They both had some burst, but Montrell, to me, has got the size to where at the goal line, that's the guy you hand the ball off to. If it's not Anthony, it needs to be Montrell. Naquan, to me, is going to just disappear out of the picture. I guarantee it. Y'all were all hyped up on him before the season, but it looks like a lot of the stuff, I'm not trying to be cocky or nothing here, but a lot of stuff that I've talked about on this show since I started putting these shows out has come to fruition. You guys got to realize I follow this team like obsessively in depth. I read articles every single day about Florida football. I read practice reports. I follow the stats closely year to year, and it's just a passion of mine. I'm passionate about it, so I'm going to take it more seriously than the average fan, and look more into what players did. Their yards above replacement, that type of stuff. How good were they in game situations on the line? When the line's not blocking well, how well does the back, get yards out of nothing? Naquan's just not that guy. I mean, he's just not. ETN is a guy who can do something like that. The same thing with Montreal Johnson. So those guys were special last night. I think they're going to run for a lot of yards. I think somebody might get close to 1,000. I really thought we were going to have a guy get to it. I think that rotation will shrink down to two main guys. Whoever's got the hot hand might stay in, but I didn't so much like the back rotation last night being three guys. I really wish we would have just narrowed it down to the two the entire game. I didn't like seeing Naquan come back in later in the game because he didn't do anything, and the other two did. So let's get to the offensive line. They blocked beautifully. I mean, they were road graders out there. We were opening up running holes left and right. Definitely had some pressure on Anthony at times, so some of the pass pro was a little sketchy. There was a lot of guys coming in and out of the game. I noticed Austin Barber was in a lot. He did really well. Tarquin had to bounce around right tackle, left tackle. But the offensive line as a whole did really good. Man, getting Cyrus Torrance was a blessing and a godsend for this line. He elevates the play of the guys around him. I believe they played better just because of him. He's smart, intelligent player, knows what to do. Eguakwan is just a student of the game. He's like the quarterback at center. He knows how to get everybody where they're supposed to go, make the right checks and calls. So those guys, the offensive line, I give an A+. Running back, I give an A+ last night. Let me go back a little bit. Offensive line, I'd give an A-, because there was a few plays where they did get pressure on Anthony. That I thought they could have kept the pocket a little cleaner, and really those probably would have been sacks in that game if not due to the fact that we have a borderline Heisman Trophy at quarterback. Some of his numbers, Anthony Richardson, I'm going to give him an A- for his first game in the Swamp. He even said he had the jitters coming into the game. Pull up some stats here, but he was super amped up. You could tell on TV he looked a little nervous. So I think he was just super excited. I mean, it's 90,000 people. It's loud. He just was overly amped. In the passing game, he threw some balls. He threw a ball in the dirt, missed some guys wide open. Passing numbers were pretty pedestrian. 168 yards was solid. That's all we needed because he had 3 touchdowns on the ground. He's a freak, over 100 yards rushing. Last guy to do that was Tim Tebow. I mean, this guy is super special. So over 200 something yards total offense. So I give him an A- for his first game. He's only going to get better as the season goes on. I do think there were some times we could have opened it up more in the passing game. We got kind of conservative coming out of the half. That was a very pedestrian. Some of the play calling wasn't great. I'll give Billy Napier probably a B to B+ in his first game. I'll give him B+. We won the game, top 7 opponent. I'll give him a B+ because the team was fired up. They played with passion. Billy even said someone coming in when he had the job that someone told him that this was the most competitive team he's ever had seen in their lives. And Billy's like, I believe that 100% after seeing these guys play. They never quit. They never stop fighting. This is a passionate team. They're like brothers out there. They love each other. I love seeing it. But, yeah, some of the play calling got conservative at times when it shouldn't have. 14-13, and you got the ball, and you run a couple run plays, and then basically get in victory formation and run into the half when you had a whole minute. Could have went down the field. You got to go for the death, the nail right there. Go for the kill shot. Go get at least a field goal. So that one really had me kind of ticked off during the game. I'm already stressed out enough anyways about it. So at the time, looking at it, I didn't think it was a great decision. The 2-point conversion really didn't matter to me. I liked it. I like being aggressive there. So it's like he gets aggressive at times, and sometimes he goes into conservative shell, it seemed like, during the game. But some of the play calling was a little vanilla. Again, it's game 1. That should improve and get better. I think they were trying to protect Anthony in game 1 and give him some easy throws and kind of slowly ease him into the water because it was such a tense atmosphere. But look for the passing game to really open up even more. I think Anthony is going to shred Kentucky's defense. I do think Anthony will probably go for 250-plus yards in the air next game and probably another 100 on the ground. By the end of the year, this dude should be a Heisman finalist. He's going to be a top 10 pick in the draft. If he can develop his passing game, his reading the field, because there's times where he missed some stuff. Billy said he had about 6 to 8 plays he can remember offhand. He probably wishes he had back. And so, yeah, I do think he's got to develop more in the passing game. But as far as his running game, the dude is super electric. I thought AR was phenomenal last night. Um, big time strength for us with the run game, offensive line. Persall in the receiving game was great. First game in the swamp, I thought he was excellent. He gets open, he's shifty. He made some tremendous catches, like 5 for 67 yards. I think he's only going to get better and make bigger and bigger plays as the year goes on. Man, he was a godsend because that receiver corps is terrible. We have nobody to throw the ball to. That is our guy and the guy. I mean, we had 3 guys get catches, I think, last night. You had him. You had Henderson make a few catches. He was good. Nobody was eye-opening or a game breaker. Nobody had any yards after catch. I mean, wide receiver is an issue, and that's going to hold Anthony back. That's why I said you can't expect too much when you don't have guys that can get open or guys that can break tackles. I mean, everybody at receiver looks super slow except for Ricky. Ricky, it looks super athletic, super fast and shifty. He gets in and out of his breaks super well. Guy's super explosive. So he's going to have some good numbers on the year. I could see him again going for 600-700 yards receiving with a few touchdowns. I don't think any of the receivers are going to have like 10 touchdowns this year. We're just not that kind of team. Tight ends were non-existent. Zipper got a catch in the game. But again, this game won. So they develop offense over the season. You hold stuff back for the next game. You throw in new wrinkles and new plays. Look for the tight end to get involved in the passing game even more. That was a little glimpse of it. I think you'll see a couple more of those throws in the next few games. Dante Zanders didn't show up, which was a little weird to me. I didn't see him. So, but as far as defense goes, I'm gonna go back to that a little bit. Now that we're done with the offense, again, Justin Shorter had a couple catches last night. I think we have a good, solid receiving core. They can block. They contribute in other ways, but we don't have anybody electric, and we're very thin there, which is good for recruiting, but it's going to hurt us in some games this year when we're not able to get open against some better DBs because that Utah team, to me, again, that was a solid defense we played, so I'm hoping they're as good as what the ranking says, and we're just that much better. Let's switch back to defense. I want to go over some stats here. Dean had 6 tackles. I thought he played well. Bernie, 6 tackles, 1 assist, and the interception. Again, tackling-wise, he actually had more tackles than Ventrell, but I thought Ventrell was really the guy. There's a lot of confusion out there. Ventrell, having a quarterback at linebacker like that, direct your defense is massively important. I can't understate that enough. After the alignment issues, getting on and off the field last year, getting the call in. Ventrell Miller, man, I mean, he gets the guys where they need to be, gets us all set for the play, because there's a couple times we did get caught with our pants down. We weren't ready for the snap. But I think that only happened like maybe twice during the game. So Torrance, 5 tackles, 2 assists. Cox, 3 and 7 assists. Ventrell Miller, 3 and 6. Travis Johnson, 3 and 0. So a lot of these guys, I'd like to see some of these names disappear. Honestly, this just looks like the Grantham's defense. Jervon Dexter was not explosive. I don't know. I think he takes plays off of him, to be honest with you. He just didn't look that great. 2 tackles, 3 assists. I'm hoping he steps his game up for the next couple weeks. Antoine Powell, 1 and 1. I saw some nice stuff from Yuma Million. He looked good. Jadarius Perkins, Jason Marshall, Shamar James got on the field. I did see Shamar James, true freshman, on the field at linebacker. Just the fact that he was out there with 4 assisted tackles, you're going to see more of him. Every game you're going to see more and more Shamar James. I do believe that. Devin Moore was on the field. He's going to be special. A lot of Napier guys that he recruited were out there. Jayla Kimber, yeah, he was okay. He's not great. I see why he's not starting now. McMillan got on the field. A lot of guys got reps. A lot of young guys, a lot of depth. A lot of, Billy's guys got reps, so that's good to see for future games. Switch it up here. So Anthony Richardson, 17 to 24, 168 yards, 11 carries, 106 yards, 9.6 yards per carry, 3 touchdowns. Montreal Johnson, 12 for 75. For them guys to get that much yards at running back with a running quarterback like that, that's special. 12 carries, 75 yards, 6.2 average, which is a very good average. 1 touchdown. ETN, 5 carries, 64 yards. 64 yards on 5 touches. 13-yard average per carry. That goes back to exactly what I was saying. He was good for 10 or 15 a carry. He looked like the best back on the field. He had the best vision. He had the highest yard per average, even higher than Anthony Richardson. Naquan Wright, he had 10 carries, guys, okay? Second Yeah, no, third in carries on the team. Anthony 11, Montreal Johnson 12. Naquan Wright had 10 touches for 39 yards. That is terrible. His same meager pedestrian average he's had at Florida since he got here, 3.9 yards per rush. That's terrible. That's below average. No touchdowns. His average in Florida since he's been here has been like 4-something a game. Like a good average, good at running back is 5 yards plus 5 to 5.5 yards a carry. That's what guys like name's escaping me now. But some of the backs like P. Ryan, okay, he was like that, about 5 yards per carry. The guy that was recruited with him, they both played the same year. I'm having trouble thinking of his name right now. But anyway, we had two backs. They averaged about 5.5 a carry. All right, so that's what you want to see for a good back. A great back is 6+. If you're a really, really good back, elite back, you're going to get 6+ yards per carry, average per carry. Purcell had 4 for 67 yards, 16.8 average per touch. That's a really good average. Henderson, 6.8 yards per touch. He had a lot of those stand passes. That's why his is so low for 41 yards. Justin Shorter, 2 for 25. Montreal Johnson, 1 catch for 14 yards. And Trevor Etienne, 2 catches for 9 yards. So I like how they got the backs involved in the passing game. Look for that to increase as time goes on, especially since those are the only 3 guys with catches in the game at wide receiver. Told you it was pedestrian. So, but this game's a momentum, booster for us going into the next few games. Going to the Kentucky game. ESPN has us as 55% odds of winning the game. It's in the Swamp. I think it's higher than that. I think we are probably 65-70% favorites in this game, in my opinion. It is an SEC team, so I do believe it's a step up from Utah. In my opinion, this is still a ranked team that we are playing, so it's another top 20 matchup. It's in the Swamp, though. Night game. We're going to make progress. Biggest jumps from game 1 to game 2. I look for Florida to come into this game and win something like. I don't believe it's going to be super high scoring on the Kentucky side. I'm looking for our defense to take a little bit of a step forward. I think Kentucky gets like 21. I think they get to 20. But I think Florida puts up 35-plus points in this game. We got to 29 against Utah, so I'm looking for Florida to get to 35 to 40 points. So probably something like 38 to 20, 38-17. That's my score prediction for the Kentucky-Florida game. Let's go over Kentucky a little bit here, guys. Sorry, I do this a lot. I'm sorry, but let's rewind just a hair. Special teams was super pedestrian. Punts were terrible, which was disappointing and a little surprising with the Aussie punter we had. He was great last year. I thought the punts were awful. Kickoffs were terrible. They were almost kicked out of bounds every single time. We got lucky on that. They every time he'd kick it, it was either a short kick. The guy's got no leg. He'd fall around like the 15-yard line. They couldn't kick it in the end zone. Might have been on purpose. I don't know, but he shanked a bunch of them like right there to the corner of the end zone. Didn't really have to. I don't even think we kicked a field goal last night. Didn't have to kick any field goals, so we don't know. That's still jury's still out on that. But I thought kick coverage. We got to find a better returner. We're not electric at all. Henderson's supposed to be one of these really fast guys we recruit out of high school. He looks slow, like real long, just super slow steps. He has no burst. I think he has like long distance, like 100-meter speed. But the kid's not fast. He's not a burst guy like a short area 40-yard dash fast kind of kid. He's not elusive. I'd like to see Trevor Etienne at running back get more returns on punt return and kickoff return. I think he's the guy that could be electric. I'd be super devastated if he got hurt. I'm going to close the book on the game, though. Move on to the Kentucky game. Nobody thought we were going to pull this off. We did, the Gator fans, us out here, in Gator country. We knew what this team was capable of, and we knew that, Utah was a beatable team. I think we believed in it, and it happened. So I'm super excited for Kentucky. That was such a huge win because that was a game that a lot of people were expecting us to lose. I think our odds of going to a good bowl game now and getting to those 9 wins are even much higher, much, much higher. As long as we can, avoid the mistakes we had last night, take a little bit of a step forward, and stay injury-free, okay? Keep Anthony healthy. This team will get to 9 wins. I'm very confident in that. Without those things happening, I'd say we're back down to this 7 wins still, maybe 8. I still think we could get to 8. I think the team is good enough. I'll say this. If Jack Miller was healthy and he got in, if Anthony could win us a few games, especially against somebody like we got Utah and then we get Kentucky, if we can get through like a few games and get to the 4, get through some of the tougher games, I think that Jack could win us a couple games. I still think we could get to 8-4 even with Jack Miller, just based off of the run game. Okay, obviously the passing game's not huge, and Jack can move enough to where I think we'd still be respectable, but not great. I definitely think we're a couple of wins worse, but I think he could get us a few. And let me know you guys thought of the game. Let me know your comments, opinions on everything. But let's go to Kentucky. So Kentucky beats Miami Ohio 37-13. Will Levis 21-32, 303 yards, which is pretty good. 3 touchdowns and interception. This kid was predicted to be a top 10 pick in the draft, even higher than Anthony. I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it because of the team. I think the performance was solid, not great. With the pick and everything. I heard he was getting sacked. The offensive line at Kentucky looked terrible last night. They were getting pushed around and bullied by Miami, Ohio. He was getting bullied. So I think Florida's going to eat in this game. He ain't throwing 300 yards on Florida's defense. That's one of the strengths of our team as DBs. So I could see him having very pedestrian numbers, probably about 150, 175 yards passing on this defense at best. Maybe a touchdown. He's probably going to get picked off at least twice in the game. Kavase Smoke, 7 carries, 32 yards. McLean, 6 carries, 16 yards. Wright, 3 carries, 10 yards. Jefferson, 2 carries, 10 yards. Will Levis, 7 carries for minus 18 yards, minus 2.6 average. He was getting sacked like crazy, guys. Like they were getting shredded through like a piece of paper. This team does not look like a top 20 team to me. They'll probably come into the game still ranked, so it's going to be another ranked win for our Gators, another notch on the belt. But they'll fall after this. This team's probably only good for about 6 wins this year, in my opinion. That is not a good Kentucky team. I think they're reasonably okay at quarterback, but they have no run game. Rodriguez is out, suspended. He will not be back for that Florida game. So pretty awesome there. Their running backs look really pedestrian against an average team in an average conference. So, receiving-wise, the guy that we got, as long as we can key on one guy, T. Robinson on their team had 6 catches, 136 yards, 22.7 average, but 0 touchdowns. Okay, they have 1 receiver with 1 touchdown. So what I'm looking for here is for our corners, Jason Marshall, Avery Helm, Devin Moore, to lock this kid down. Have the safety spying on him. Let your linebackers know. Be watching him across the middle of the field. And keep an eye on those tight ends because Kentucky is going to try to use the tight end in this game. Even though they don't have a good one, they're going to try to use them just to expose that defense. They saw the success that Utah had. They're going to try to replicate Utah's game plan to beat Florida. But yeah, so if we can take Robinson out of the game, play even as well as we did against Utah on defense, and we win this game again by 2 touchdowns at least. Kentucky had 353 total yards versus 290. So almost 300 yards put up against Kentucky's defense by this team. 180 yards passing. Miami put up on Kentucky. 303 for Kentucky. Rushing yards. Kentucky had 50 rushing yards, guys. Pathetic. Florida's going to look really good defensively in this game. Kentucky's going to make us look better. Kentucky's going to make us show that game 1, game 2 jump forward. And a lot of people are going to be buying the Kool-Aid on the Gators, which I'm all about. Rushing yards, Miami Ohio had 111 rushing yards against Kentucky's defense. So again, this is a cupcake game. These numbers should not look like this. Florida should be super, super confident coming into this game. Yards per play for Kentucky, 6.1. That's okay. It's pedestrian, not great. 4.5 for Miami Ohio. It looks like scoring-wise in that game, 7-7 going out of the first quarter, touchdown apiece. 2 field goals for Kentucky in the second quarter, so they super slow start for them. Looks like they really lit it up and opened it up in the third quarter with a 17-point quarter and then another touchdown to cap it off in the fourth. So second half team, apparently they made some adjustments. So again, still a decent football team, but definitely not a top 20 team in my opinion. Miami Ohio was 7-6 last year with 53.8 win percentage, 5-3 in their conference. Away, they were 1-6, neutral 0-0, 6-0 at home. So again, guys, Gators all the way, 2-0 after Kentucky. In my opinion, that's all I got for y'all today. Go Gators and God bless.